Make them chase what you never offered. The phantom value strategy. You've been giving pieces of yourself away like currency, believing that your worth lies in what you offer others. Every morning you wake up and inventory what you can provide. Your time, your energy, your endless availability, as if you were a vending machine designed to dispense comfort to anyone who approaches with the right combination of need and expectation. But here's the brutal truth you refuse to see. The more you give, the less they want. You've created a phantom of yourself, a version that exists only in their minds, built from promises you never made, but they assumed you'd keep. This phantom dances to their rhythm, appears at their beckoning, and disappears into their convenience. You've been so busy being everything to everyone that you've forgotten the most dangerous lesson in human psychology. Scarcity creates desire. Abundance creates indifference. Tonight, you discover why the most powerful people never chase. They create the chase. They understand that the moment you stop running toward others, others begin running toward you. But first, you must confront the theater you've been performing in, the role you've been playing, and the audience that's been watching you exhaust yourself for their entertainment. Every relationship you've ever had has been a performance, and you've been playing the wrong role. While you've been the eager provider, the reliable constant, standing in the spotlight desperately trying to prove your worth through endless availability, others have mastered the art of strategic absence. They understand what you don't. That value isn't in what you give, but in what you withhold. You've been living in a theater where everyone else knows the script except you, and the curtain is finally rising on your own deception. The stage was set long before you arrived. You would be the one who chases. They would be the ones who retreat just enough to keep you chasing. You would fill every silence with reassurance. They would create silences that made you question everything. You would be transparent. They would remain beautifully, infuriatingly mysterious. The roles were distributed with surgical precision, and somehow you ended up with the part of the fool, the one who gives everything and calls it love, who serves endlessly and calls it devotion, who exhausts themselves and calls it loyalty. But look around this theater now. See how they move with calculated grace, appearing when it serves their narrative, disappearing when it doesn't, maintaining just enough distance to keep you reaching across the void they've created. They've learned to make their presence a gift rather than a given, their attention a reward rather than a right. While you've been advertising your availability like a neon sign that never dims, they've been creating scarcity around themselves, not through cruelty, but through self-respect. The theater of false scarcity isn't about playing games. It's about recognizing the game that's already being played on you. Machiavelli understood that men judge more by their eyes than their hands. They see what appears to be, not what is. You've been creating phantom attachments, emotional mirages that exist only in others' minds without even realizing it. They chase the version of you that lives in their imagination, not the real you who exhausts yourself trying to match their fantasy. This phantom version is everything you think they want, always available, endlessly patient, constantly giving, never demanding. It's a projection screen onto which they cast their needs, their wounds, their unspoken desires for someone who will never challenge them, never disappoint them, never require anything in return. But phantoms aren't real, and neither is the love they claim to feel for this version of you. They're in love with their own convenience, their own comfort, their own ability to take without giving. The real you, complex, moody, sometimes unavailable, occasionally selfish, remains hidden behind this performance. You've become a method actor who's forgotten their acting, so committed to the role that you've lost touch with the person underneath. Every day you wake up and slip into this phantom costume, adjusting your personality to fit their expectations, modifying your responses to match their comfort levels, editing your truth to align with their version of who you should be. This is where your power has been hiding, in the space between their expectation and your reality. The phantom they've been chasing was never you anyway. It was their projection of what they needed you to be. A perfect caregiver, an endless well of patience, a person without needs of your own. When you stop being their projection, you force them to see you, and in that seeing everything changes. The phantom dissolves, and what emerges is either genuine connection or the blessed clarity of knowing where you truly stand. The moment you stop performing, the moment you allow your authentic self to emerge, unpredictable, sometimes difficult, beautifully human, they'll either love you for who you actually are or reveal that they never loved you at all. Both outcomes set you free. Your words have been your weakness, filling every silence with reassurance, explanation, availability. You've been afraid of quiet moments, terrified that stillness might create space for them to question, to doubt, to leave. So you've become a narrator of your own life, constantly explaining your actions, justifying your choices, providing commentary on every decision as if you were on trial and they were the jury. But silence is the language of power, and you've been speaking the dialect of the desperate. When you stop explaining your worth, others begin questioning theirs. When you stop being available for every conversation, they start wondering why they need you. Silence creates space, and in that space, imagination grows. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them question what you're doing. Let them fill the void with their own thoughts, their own needs, their own growing awareness of your absence. The most influential people in history understood this principle. What you don't say often carries more weight than what you do. Your constant availability has made you background noise in their lives. Your endless explanations have made you predictable. Your fear of silence has made you forgettable. This is the moment you reclaim your throne, not through what you say, but through what you refuse to reveal. When you master the art of strategic silence, you transform from someone who fills space to someone who creates space. And in that space, others are forced to confront their own emptiness, their own need, their own recognition of what they're missing when you're not there. You've built your entire identity on being useful, necessary, indispensable, but usefulness is slavery dressed in virtue. You've confused being needed with being valued, being helpful with being loved, being reliable with being respected. The phantom value you've been offering was never yours to begin with. It was borrowed from their needs, their weaknesses, their inability to stand alone. You became their crutch, and crutches are only valued until the injury heals. Then they're discarded, forgotten, left in closets gathering dust. Your worth became conditional on their weakness, your importance tied to their incompetence, your value measured by their inability to function without you. But what happens when they learn to walk alone? What happens when they grow stronger, more capable, more independent? Your phantom value evaporates because it was never real value at all. Now you must face the terrifying truth. Your real value has nothing to do with what you can do for others, and everything to do with who you are when no one is watching. Your worth isn't in your utility, it's in your essence. Your power isn't in your service, it's in your sovereignty. The person who needs to be needed is weak. The person who chooses to give but doesn't need to give is powerful. When you stop deriving your worth from your usefulness, you stop attracting people who only see you as useful. When you stop being indispensable, you start being irreplaceable. There's a difference. Indispensable people are tools. Irreplaceable people are treasures. Detachment isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You've been emotionally enmeshed in everyone else's reality, losing yourself in their stories, their crises, their endless need for validation. Every phone call becomes your emergency. Every problem becomes your responsibility. Every emotion becomes your burden to carry. You've been a sponge for other people's chaos, absorbing their anxiety, their drama, their unprocessed trauma, until you can't tell where their pain ends and yours begins. But the most magnetic people live on an island of emotional sovereignty, connected but never consumed. They care without carrying, love without losing themselves, give without being drained. They offer glimpses of themselves like rare artifacts. In a museum, beautiful, valuable, but ultimately untouchable. You can admire them, appreciate them, even be inspired by them, but you cannot possess them, control them, or diminish them through your need. This is where your transformation begins. In the space between caring and being controlled by that care. When you develop emotional architecture, boundaries that protect your inner world while still allowing connection, you become someone others want to be around, not someone they use for emotional regulation. The difference is profound. People are drawn to emotional stability, repelled by emotional chaos. When you stop being available as an emotional dumping ground, you start being seen as an emotional sanctuary. When you stop absorbing their feelings, they start managing their own. And in that management they grow. Your detachment becomes their growth catalyst. Your boundaries become their invitation to maturity. Desire cannot be manufactured through generosity. It emerges from scarcity, mystery, the tantalizing possibility of what might be. You've been trying to earn love through service, respect through accommodation, power through submission. You've operated under the false belief that if you just give enough, love enough, sacrifice enough, they'll finally see your worth and reciprocate your investment. But human psychology doesn't work that way. True desire is born from the unknown, the unexplored, the unreachable parts of you that others can sense but never fully grasp. The phantom they chase isn't what you've given them. It's what you've kept for yourself. It's the mystery behind your eyes, the thoughts you don't share, the parts of your soul that remain untouched by their consumption. When everything about you is known, predictable, available, there's nothing left to discover. You become a completed puzzle, and completed puzzles are set aside for new challenges. But when you maintain parts of yourself that remain unexplored territory, you become an ongoing adventure. The most captivating people are those who reveal themselves in layers, slowly, selectively, never all at once. They understand that the human heart is designed to pursue what it cannot fully possess. This isn't manipulation, it's self-preservation. It's maintaining your individuality within connection, your mystery within intimacy, your separateness within unity. When you stop giving away every piece of yourself, others begin to wonder what treasures you're protecting. When you stop being an open book, they start wanting to read between the lines. The paradox of earned desire is this: the less you chase it, the more it chases you. Every emperor knows that the power to withdraw is greater than the power to advance. Your strategic withdrawal isn't abandonment, it's recalibration. It's the recognition that you've been over-invested in relationships where your investment isn't matched, over-available to people who take your availability for granted, over-committed to dynamics that drain rather than sustain you. When you step back from the stage of constant performance, others must step forward to fill the void you've created. This is how you discover who truly values you versus who simply values what you do. The ones who only valued your service will barely notice your absence. They'll simply find another servant. But the ones who value you will feel the shift immediately. They'll reach out, they'll wonder, they'll suddenly realize how much space you occupied in their world. Your strategic withdrawal becomes a sorting mechanism, separating those who see you as a person from those who see you as a function. It's not about playing hard to get. It's about being genuinely selective with your energy. It's about honoring your own time and attention as the precious resources they are. When you become harder to reach, you become more valuable to those who reach for you. When you become less available, you become more appreciated by those who have access to you. The phantom value strategy begins with this radical act, making yourself scarce enough to be sought. Not through games or manipulation, but through genuine self-respect and careful curation of your presence in others' lives. Presence without predictability is the secret weapon of the unforgettable. You've been a book with all pages visible, a song with no hidden verses, a person with no shadows left unexplored. Your transparency, while admirable, has made you entirely known and therefore entirely taken for granted. But mystery is the magnet that draws others into your orbit. When they can't quite read you, categorize you, or predict your next move, you become the puzzle they can't stop trying to solve. Your phantom value lies not in your transparency, but in your beautiful complexity. This doesn't mean becoming deceptive or dishonest. It means recognizing that you contain multitudes, and not every multitude needs to be displayed at once. You have depths that haven't been explored, thoughts that haven't been shared, dreams that haven't been discussed, fears that haven't been revealed. These hidden aspects of yourself aren't secrets to be protected out of paranoia. They're treasures to be shared selectively with those who have earned access to your inner world. When you maintain an element of mystery, you maintain interest. When you keep some cards close to your chest, others become curious about your hand. The most magnetic people are those who seem familiar yet foreign, known yet unknowable, present yet somehow always just out of reach. They give enough of themselves to create connection, but withhold enough to maintain fascination. Your mysterious presence isn't about being distant or cold. It's about being selectively intimate, strategically vulnerable, carefully authentic. Availability is not a virtue. It's a commodity that loses value through oversupply. You've been operating like a 24-hour convenience store, always open, always ready to serve, never closed for maintenance or rest. But the most valuable establishments have limited hours, exclusive access, carefully controlled availability. You must become selectively available, not from manipulation, but from self-respect. Your time, energy, and attention are finite resources that should be invested, not spent. When you become choosy about who receives access to you, everyone else begins competing for that access. This is the moment you stop being the option and start being the prize. Selective availability means recognizing that your presence is a gift, not a guarantee. It means understanding that your time is precious enough to be protected, your energy valuable enough to be conserved, your attention rare enough to be earned. When you stop being available to everyone, you become more available to the people who matter. When you stop saying yes to everything, your yes becomes meaningful. When you stop being accessible at all times, your accessibility becomes special. The crown of selective availability isn't worn through arrogance, it's earned through self-worth. It's the natural result of recognizing that you deserve the same respect, consideration, and effort that you give others. When you begin treating yourself like someone worth waiting for, others begin to see you as someone worth waiting for. When you start valuing your own time, others start valuing it too. The phantom you've been offering to others was created from their approval, shaped by their expectations, sustained by their validation. Every compliment they gave became a brick in the foundation of your identity. Every criticism became a crack in your confidence. Every withdrawal of their attention became evidence of your unworthiness. But emperors don't rule by consensus, they rule by internal conviction. Your worth cannot be determined by external votes, and your value cannot be measured by others' appreciation. When you build your empire on internal validation, external validation becomes a pleasant bonus, not a desperate necessity. This is perhaps the most radical shift you'll make. From seeking approval to seeking alignment with your own values. From needing others to validate your worth, to knowing your worth independent of their recognition. The empire of internal validation is built on the unshakable foundation of self-knowledge, self-respect, and self-acceptance. It's fortified by your own standards, defended by your own boundaries, and ruled by your own conscience. When you stop needing others to tell you who you are, you become truly free to be who you are. When you stop performing for their applause, you start living for your own fulfillment. The phantom they fell in love with was created by committee, their committee. But the real you emerges from solitude, from self-reflection, from the quiet moments when no one is watching and you're free to be authentically yourself. This is where true power is born, in the unshakable knowledge of your own worth, independent of anyone else's opinion. You are not the phantom others have been chasing. You are the architect who created it. The real you has been waiting behind. The performance behind the giving, behind the endless accommodation of others' needs. Your authentic power doesn't lie in being everything to everyone, but in being undeniably yourself to those who have earned access to that truth. For too long, you've been hiding behind the version of yourself that you thought others wanted to see. You've been dimming your light to avoid outshining them, softening your edges to avoid making them uncomfortable, shrinking your presence to make room for their egos. But your authentic self, complex, sometimes difficult, beautifully imperfect, is infinitely more valuable than any phantom you could create. The phantom value strategy ends where it began, with you standing sovereign in your own reality, creating desire through authenticity rather than accommodation. When you stop being who others want you to be and start being who you actually are, something magical happens. The wrong people fall away naturally, and the right people are drawn to you magnetically. You stop attracting users and start attracting choosers. You stop drawing people who want to take from you and start calling in people who want to build with you. This is your resurrection, not as the person others want you to be, but as the person you were always meant to become. The phantom was always temporary, a mask worn for others' comfort. But you, the real you, are eternal, unbreakable, irreplaceable. When you finally remove the mask and stand in your truth, you discover something profound. You don't need to chase anyone or anything. Your authentic presence creates its own gravitational pull, drawing toward you everything and everyone meant to be in your orbit. This is the ultimate phantom value strategy, becoming so authentically, unapologetically yourself that others can't help but be drawn to the truth of who you are. Description: when you stop giving, they start chasing. Phantom value: scarcity and psychological power. You've been giving until there's nothing left. Time, energy, soul fragments scattered like offerings on the altar of other people's approval. But in the silent spaces where exhaustion meets realization, a darker truth emerges. Abundance breeds indifference, while scarcity ignites desire. This video takes you inside the psychological theater where you've unknowingly performed the role of the ever-available giver while others master the art of strategic absence. You'll confront the phantom version of yourself, the endless caretaker, and begin reclaiming the power hidden in your silence. Through concepts like shadow work, individuation, emotional detachment, and Machiavellian awareness, you'll learn how true self-worth lies not in your service, but in your sovereignty. Inside, discover how to unmask the phantom self and reconnect to your true identity. Transform vulnerability into strategic power practice shadow work to integrate your hidden strength. Create magnetic mystery through selective silence. Identify emotional manipulation and escape the performance trap. Build boundaries that elevate your worth instead of draining you. Shift from being indispensable to being irreplaceable. Embrace scarcity as the birthplace of genuine desire. Step off the stage. Stop performing. Let them chase the real you. If this awakening speaks to your soul, like, share, and subscribe for more journeys into the depths of psychology, philosophy, and emotional rebirth. Your silence can become your greatest power. Tags: phantom value, psychological power. Stop giving. Start chasing. Scarcity creates desire. Emotional detachment, emotional storytelling, relationship manipulation, strategic silence, emotional availability, shadow work, emotional sovereignty, self-worth psychology, emotional independence, theater of relationships, philosophy of power, identity, and self-worth, emotional exhaustion, emotional boundaries, emotional manipulation, becoming irreplaceable, creating mystery in relationships, emotional rebirth, psychological transformation, when you stop giving, scarcity, mindset in love, stop being too available, detachment in relationships, psychology of desire, Machiavellian relationships, individuation and self-discovery, emotional healing journey, images you've been spilling pieces of yourself like coins into outstretched hands that never say thank you. Each dawn finds you counting your soul's inventory as if you were a shopkeeper desperate for customers. You've become a vending machine of comfort, waiting for the right buttons to be pushed. The more you give, the emptier their eyes become. A phantom of you dances on invisible strings, appearing only when summoned by silent expectations. You've forgotten that desire blooms in scarcity, not in endless harvests. The powerful never chase. They stand still and let the world orbit them. The theater lights flare, revealing the script you were never handed. You've been acting on a stage where everyone else knows their lines but you. Your spotlight has become an interrogation lamp, demanding proof of your worth. Others disappear behind velvet curtains while you perform for empty seats. They drift like ghosts close enough to haunt you, far enough to remain untouchable. Their silence is a scalpel carving uncertainty into your skin. You've become a neon sign flickering with promises you never made. They've woven absence into a cloak of power, while you bear your soul like an open wound. You live in a theater where love is rationed like wartime sugar. Machiavelli whispers that men believe what their eyes see, not the truth hidden behind masks. You've birthed emotional mirages shimmering over the desert of your exhaustion. There, chasing a dream of you that dissolves the closer they come. Your phantom costume hangs heavy, stitched from their desires and your silence. Every smile you offer is tailored to their comfort, not your truth. You've become an actor who's forgotten the sound of their own voice. Your power lies buried in the gulf between who you are and who they imagine you to be. Phantoms fade under the harsh light of authenticity. Love cannot survive the glare of constant performance. You narrate your life as if standing on trial, pleading your case to an unseen jury. Silence is a sword sharper than any spoken word. Your explanations echo like footsteps in an empty cathedral. Your voice has become the wallpaper of their world, constant, unnoticed, fading. The throne awaits. The one who learns to rule through silence. You've mistaken usefulness for love and service for salvation. You've been a crutch they discard once their wounds have healed. Your value evaporates like morning mist when they no longer need you. Sovereignty begins when you refuse to be indispensable. Indispensable people are tools. Irreplaceable people are treasures. You've absorbed storms that were never meant for your shores. You've been drowning in the tides of other people's chaos. Magnetic souls live on islands, visible yet untouchable across shimmering waters. You've been a museum exhibit, admired but never truly known. Boundaries are the glass cases protecting your rarest artifacts. Emotional chaos is a wildfire, and you've been dry tinder waiting for a spark. True desire ignites in the shadows you refuse to illuminate. Your mystery is the locked door they cannot stop rattling. You've been a completed puzzle that no one picks up twice. Layers of your soul remain sealed like ancient scrolls waiting to be read. Presence without predictability turns you into an enigma they ache to solve. Your hidden depths are not secrets. They're invitations earned, not granted. Strategic withdrawal is not retreat. It's the sharpening of your sword in silence. You transform from a glowing lantern into a lighthouse, seen but unreachable. The phantom dissolves when your true face steps into the light.